one SOFM, in spite of his team not doing so well, pulled off 3 miraculous steals. He is now very much living in the nightmares of the man you see on screen over there, Bo, not having the time of his life, knowing that SOFM is over objective walls, waiting to fly in there with grace on his signature at this point, Jarvan 4 pick. As we go into the draft of game 2, we have a Renekton first pick for Bin in the top lane. Again, not very often do you get to see Bin's champion showed in the first few picks. However, coming into the 2021 season, Suning has showed that they are more willing to show off Bin's pick in the top side, perhaps opting to give the counter picks to support and jungle often in order to allow them to spread their wings and try and carry the game. On the side of FPX, however, we have a Kaisa pick and a Ngar pick into the Renekton. And finally, at the third pick, Rumble is being hovered. Rumble is like a go-to as well for the side of Doing B. Surprisingly though, in this game, Doing B is not really opting to go for more standard, I would say, picks from last season. The Galio, of course, Twisted Fate is banned again, but not opting to go for the Galio pick, instead hovering the Rumble to let Suning know that there's potential that we pick this. Will you consider banning it? Before locking in the Talia for Bo. Rumble and Talia, not so great, however. It's not like Doing B gets a lot of ganks. Anyways, he is more often the ganker, as Fun Plus Phoenix further pinching the jungle champion pool. Most likely will look to pinch the support pool as well, as Suning banning out the Galio, similar to game 1. Let's see what FPX do here. Perhaps to opt to target the Leona. Rakan, of course, is always an option. Set is fairly good, but given that they do have the Xayah, I wouldn't be surprised. Given that Suning has a Xayah, I wouldn't be surprised for Fun Plus Phoenix to ban out a more defensive support here. Maybe the Alistar even, because Xayah is not really a champion that can go extremely aggressive. As a Rengar ban coming out, very interesting, paying a lot of respect to SOFM's ability to come out with just random picks. This could also be trying to force out Suning. Actually, I completely have no idea why they did this, because the only time, if I'm not mistaken, that Rengar was ever picked by SOFM was during Worlds against specifically an Evelynn, when they were going up against Down1 Gaming in the only match that they managed to win in the finals. As a Yone ban coming out here, Yone of course would do very well with Talia, given the AD/AP mix will still be there. And Leona is locked in here for the side of FPX. What will Suning look to counter here? I really think that Alistar is pretty much... Thresh is up as well, but Thresh and Xayah aren't really... I mean, Thresh goes well with anybody, and Xayah, I think you'd prefer a more defensive kind of support. So I think Thresh is definitely an option. Alistar is an option, as well as SOFM opts for the Lee Sin pick over here. Lee Sin, of course, shows everybody that they are wanting to an Ashe pick potentially considered. And Rakan, of course, Rakan, basically a champion made in every way conceivable for Xayah. As the seconds come counting down, we're soon to see what their final pick is. Lee Sin showing me that Suning wants to play for their team, for their lanes, not so much for the jungler. And we see Doing B hovering a lot of his supportive champions. Doing B, again, always wanting to play for his team. Kled is also a potential pick, honestly. It will give them the damage mix between the mid lane and the jungler, AD and AP. Nuguri seemingly completely unfazed by this. I wonder how long it takes for someone who comes in to FPX to get used to the fact that your mid laner no longer has conventional picks. In fact, unconventional picks have kind of become the convention for your mid laner. I feel like that's something you'll most definitely need to adapt to as someone who's coming in. Of course, 3 players on this, 2 LWX and Chris are perfectly well versed in doing these shenanigans. Bo and Nuguri, I must say, have showed a lot of composure in this. I imagine the first few scrims being particularly fun and big learning areas for learning for every member of the team, especially the new players. As we take a look at the 2 drafts here, Doing B with his Kled is going to most definitely be looking to push out as fast as possible and start to roam. It's not so easy for him to push out as it was in last season, because Tiamat, of course, is slightly more expensive, and it does cause you to invest a fair chunk of change into an item that does not build into a mythic. However, if he goes for Stridebreaker or a Gore Drinker, he will be able to get the Iron Spike Whip instead, and that does help pushing to a fairly decent extent. Honestly, he also has his Q to clear out the waves a little bit faster. In the jungle, we have a Talia versus a Lee Sin. Both champion Talia is most definitely going to be able to clear a lot faster. This is the second game we see SOFM on a more lane and gank orientated jungler. However, in the first game he really didn't do much ganking, basically did a lot of farming, and to his credit managed to keep up in farm with Bo to a large extent for most part of the game. Unfortunately, towards the end there, Bo just managed to run away in terms of the CS lead, not even considering the impact on the map. And SOFM, however, got the last say. In the end, he got the last word, as he did steal away some beautiful, beautiful steals coming in from SOFM, really showcasing his style as a defensive start for both teams, with a Raptors ward coming out on the side of Suning, checking out the Raptors of FPX. Seeing as how there was no member of FPX there, they might have no idea this is happening. FPX doing the same thing they did in game 1, opting to do a 5-man bot strategy. However, they didn't get any deep wards in this game mode, as Bin, with his usual case of aggression. He really just likes to, especially in a ranged versus melee matchup, he really just likes to get in a position where he can start to trade and chunk out the enemy. Because if he plays he plays a slightly riskier style, but if it pays off, he gets very, very much far ahead. Oh, and I was wrong. There is a deep ward placed in the red buff. So now FPX have full knowledge of where SOFM is starting. However, given that their bot lane will also arrive late in lane, Suning will have the exact same bit of knowledge. Bo, again, is going to have a much easier time full clearing out his jungle than SOFM. SOFM, I would be interested to see him do a level 3 gank here. However, level 3 ganking a Kled can be slightly difficult, as he does have a dash at level 2. He might not go for it. He might probably go for it at level 3. So there is a slight opening. As you see here, SOFM skipping his Raptors as they would take too much time, instead opting for his Wolves. Probably going to do a full camp clear into gank opportunity or even scuttle crab, as Crisp going in here onto Huanfeng, pass on jumping onto LWX instead, in order to get him away from his AD carry as best as possible. Of course, this is the exact reason why I wanted to see this champion, because just defensive play is the name of the game. A little emote coming in here from On, and as we see, the junglers, look at the difference in terms of clear speed already. Bo at 16 CS, while SOFM at 9 CS. Meanwhile, in the top side, Bin is doing a great job just keeping up with the CS numbers of Nuguri for now, and Doing B, of course, as we expected in a range versus melee matchup, is getting harassed. Doing B must be pretty well versed in this kind of situation, as Bin getting a fair bit of damage on Nuguri, trading back. Oh, Bin using his flash to get behind Nuguri, forcing out Nuguri's flash as well. Excellent trading patterns. In fact, his trading went kind of into, he flipped a switch and it nearly went into overdrive, basically telling Nuguri that he wants to all in him, forcing out Nuguri's flash as well. As SOFM is around the corner, Bo has no idea, gets hit by the dragons. Oh, he gets hit by the sonic wave, I'm sorry, but is thrown into a field of pebbles, and Bo is just simply beating SOFM to death at this point. Bin around the corner actually has a pincer movement onto Bo now. However, Bin without his flash will not be able to get onto him, as he's now reverse pincered by Nuguri. Uses his only escape tool to jump onto Nuguri, who just bounces away, using Bin's minion wave against him, and Bo being put in a fantastic position. Bin being so incredibly greedy with his pathing, opting to try and perhaps look for something onto Bo. Bo quickly turns it onto him, onto Bin's own head, with the help of Nuguri, who kited back magnificently. All things considered though, Bin still pretty much even in terms of CS, does have that teleport. Doesn't want to teleport back, however, doesn't want to commit a Hashinshin teleport and instantly die. SOFM in the bush, Doing B trying to face check him, gets knocked off of Scarl, and SOFM, satisfied with the pressure he's put out, decides to path towards the bottom side scuttle, as LWX is jumped on there by On. A beautiful combo coming out, forcing LWX to flash. Chris could not really do much to peel for his AD carry over there. And as SOFM spotted on the ward, FPX realized that the wave is fairly nicely sized. They may potentially be Doven. However, seeing SOFM retreat back into his own jungle gives them a sense of security, as Chris begins tanking up the wave. Now, as the 4-minute mark comes around, both junglers looking to just clear out SOFM, having been able to secure the double Scuttle Crab, has actually managed to catch up in terms of CS and gold to Bo. However, Bo literally just needs to continue farming and he will outscale SOFM. He will also very quickly outfarm him. So it's very much, the onus is very much on SOFM right now to make plays. So far, he's had a bit of he didn't really he gave Bin a bit too much false confidence, causing him to die. And but then he's managed to exert some pressure on the mid lane, which is not so bad. However, it's not like Doing B is aiming to win his lane. Doing B is really just aiming to get level 6 and start flying out of that mid lane on the back of Skarl. Bo here, further trying to grow his lead that he knows he will naturally have over SOFM in this current meta, just farming out the entire top side of SOFM as he is pathing from his own red side, blast planting into Bin, who is very angry about this very quick combo coming from Bao to try and peel Bin off of him. However, Bin is still chasing a very, very big over chase. However, maybe not. As Nuguri, oh, he screws up the jump. Actually, gets too far away. Doomy flashes over the wall to try and finish off. Bin manages to do that, and Nuguri with him in the area. Oh, okay. Very nice, very nice. Beautiful turn of events there. As Bin still managing to keep up in CS, going for a cull. This man is actually a madman. He is so greedy. He is playing with so much risk here, but I absolutely love to see it. The way he plays it, that is just the most Bin-esque playstyle you can possibly imagine, and I think he's doing a fantastic job. He's exerting tons of pressure. He's defending his jungler to a certain extent. He's very much, if he's not defending, he's avenging. He's doing a fantastic job, honestly. Really, there's nothing much to say. Until very recently, he was even in CS, and now he's gotten himself a kill. He's really not doing too badly. If you look at the CS now, it looks like he's not doing so well. Bo there, getting caught out slightly as they are perhaps preparing to make a roam happen onto this mid lane. Angel is quite far up. No help around him. No help inside as Doing B paths towards him in order to just force him to use an ability. Does use it, and then he just goes on to the wave. As third Scuttle Crab is finally secured by Bo, getting himself one SOFM blast planting over the wall, not liking the position that he's in, opting to ward hop over to secure himself his red buff. As the blue buff goes over to Bo. Bo doesn't need to feel bad about this at all. It's Bin trying to catch Nuguri. However, Nuguri with the movement speed from Hyper manages to kite away from him as well as using his hop. And Nuguri just having the time of his life right now. And Bin, this is why it was so risky, because look, he's having such a hard time touching his wave, being able to stack his cull, trying to use the bush as much as possible. Nuguri now transforming, can potentially look to jump in onto Bin. Bin's ultimate is off cooldown, however, and that would be pretty suicidal, so it's very unlikely that he would do that. Now, again, as both junglers continuously begin to clear their camps, I must say I am very much liking the position Bo is in here. Bo has been caught out once for a slight bit of an over-aggressive invade. However, he is very much pulling ahead now in terms of CS. SOFM is spotted in the top side as Rift Herald is spawning. FPX's bot lane is rotating up as Nuguri jumps in onto SOFM. So much damage coming out already. SOFM managing to secure his own Grump, however, with the Smite, meaning that Smite will not be up for Herald or this blue buff contest, but On is up here as well. FPX have the man advantage given that Huanfeng is still in the bottom side farming out. Knowing this, FPX start up the Rift Herald. Huanfeng is still not pathing up. Nuguri almost transforming into his hyper mode as Doinbi jumps in with his ultimate on, pushes him away as best as he can, and Angel over the wall pushes away the rest of the enemy team. SOFM's flash is forced out. Bo, beautiful Weaver's wall there into Nuguri, ulting them into the wall, but both of them have the mobility necessary to get out of that tight position. And as the game goes on, as Nuguri gets more items, and if the positioning was slightly better, FPX will be very much able to do that over and over again to great success, as LWS jumping in onto Huanfeng, who uses his ultimate as well, but LWS keeping pace with him, not allowing the feathers to be behind him, and LWS, hit by the recall. Oh, beautiful dodge from the Sonic Wave. Bin's teleport is used, and he does manage to pick up LWX. I think LWX would most definitely have preferred to go down to SOFM over there, as Rift Herald is taken on the opposite side of the map. SOFM starting out the Dragon. No chance here for a steal for both Rift Herald and Dragon to each team, as junglers are on the opposite side of the map. SOFM on blue side has an easier time stealing Dragon. Did not have even a ounce of an opportunity to attempt a steal on Rift Herald as he was chunked out there. Bo, I'm pretty sure, has flashbacks to last game and those beautiful Dragon Secures and Baron Secures from SOFM over the wall. SOFM will have the mobility to do that yet again as Bin arrives on the top side in time to see his beloved tower fall down. Doingby channeling his recall now. Look at this. Do FPX have so much dive potential, and as I say that, Doingby is caught out by a combo from On. Angel is in the air as well, unleashes his power onto Doingby. Doesn't really do much damage as Doingby trying to scuttle away. Doingby does not have flash, will not find his way out of the Baron pit as he is taken down by On. And wow, all things considered, Nuguri is expected pulled ahead, as to be expected, has pulled ahead, as has Bo. In the mid lane, everything seems even, and in the bot side, Crisp yet again for a second game in a row is lower level than On, in spite of the fact that On has, in my opinion, been doing much more roaming than he has. But apparently the stats say otherwise, because if he did more roaming, there's no way he would be behind on CS. On experience. Now, with both objectives cleared from the map, we pretty much will. It's unlikely that we will see any action go down for the next 4 minutes. That being said, this is the LPL, and random fights do have the tendency to break open out of nowhere, and that's of course why we love to watch this. I wonder what Doingby is going for. As we see there, the Iron Spike Whip coming out, allowing him to clear the waves a lot faster. Pretty sure this is a God Drinker. Could as well be a Stride Breaker. Nuguri could go for both as well. Bin as well. However, more often than not, we see the Renekton's go for the Gore Drinker rather than the Stride Breaker. You do want to sustain after all, and a little bit of a slow and dash probably won't do too much, as Bo and Doingby are rotating in the bottom side with Nuguri in order to pressure the bottom lane of Suning Gaming. Given that top side is gone, they are now transiting the pressure towards the bottom side, wanting to just exert some pressure onto Suning Gaming so that they know there's no way that this tower can be there's no way that they can defend this tower as two people. And Doingby using his ultimate to try and get down onto Angel. However, the ultimate is quite far and Angel simply passes at a angle away from. Bo is hit by the Sonic Wave, a kick coming out onto Doingby away from the tower at the wrong direction. I think there were too many people there and SOFM could not click on the target that he wanted to, as On channeling his Hex Flash over the wall comes in, but does not manage to get anything done, however, as he was spotted out by a ward there. Crisp was on the side as well. And Bo, nearly catching Angel as On face checks into a bunch of pebbles thrown out by Bo. Most of the damage coming out there by Bo, and already On at half HP and Angel slightly chunked as well. LWS getting some tower plates to himself as the team begins to back off and secure as much as they can. Nuguri getting some deep vision in the top side as well as looking to push that wave into the tower. Bin also looking to run up at 45. Cull stack still is Bin, and Angel honestly is nowhere near his mythic item, as Doingby already has 2 components. That is the slight bit of an issue when you play in AP mid mage and you sidetrack your build slightly with the tier and with the Dark Seal. That's a 750 gold investment that may or may not. The tier is mainly for scaling, but isn't really much of an item until you make it into an Archangel staff, which is incredibly expensive. And similarly, the seal really doesn't give you anything if you don't participate in kills or if there's a relatively low kill game. Last game, FPX and SN had a pretty low kill game. However, Nuguri face checking into Bin, and SOFM is most likely going to go down here. The Ngar doesn't pin anyone against the wall. Nuguri uses a short jump and just like, what? Wait. That okay, Nuguri's ultimate might not have stunned SOFM or Bin, but that whole series of events most definitely stunned me. Why didn't they? I guess not knowing where the rest of FPX's team was a cause for concern. Nuguri fairly tanky, honestly, opting for the Stride Breaker instead of the Gore Drinker. Yeah, really, it probably was because they didn't know where the rest of FPX was, so they didn't want to risk anything, as perhaps Bo or Crisp turning the corner could have made a big difference. Bo, of course, at this point doing a ton of damage. God Drinker being completed on the side of SOFM as well means that he will be able to drain tank to a certain extent, as his job description does involve him flying into most likely 4 to 5 people in order to kick a priority target into his team. Huanfeng with his Gale Force will have a slight bit of mobility, perhaps be able to position himself better in a 1v1 against LWX, as we saw. Oh, nice little strike breaker coming out, slowing out Bin as Nuri jumping in onto Bin. The God Drinker used to get himself some more HP back as a teleport is coming in from Angel on is over the wall. Nuguri flashing over and getting headbutted right back to where he's meant to be as the kill goes over to Angel. A very nice rotation coming in there by On, getting in the perfect position at the perfect time, sending Nuguri right back into his two solo laners, as LWX and Bo securing out the there we see that Gale Force coming in, and On is in the bush. Bo has no idea, gets flashed on by On, thrown into Huanfeng and taken out. A beautiful series of events. On in the right place at the right time twice in under a minute. Beautiful, as we see the game, as we see this player On is really, I think he's developing very well as the games go by. Maybe Suning have had a rocky start, and maybe it's attributed, most likely it's attributed to a slight change of the meta, and of course getting used to the different player on the team. Sort of course playing such a huge role in their team in the 2020 season. However, On, I think, is doing a great job stepping up and just making plays for his team. I think that second last to last pick support was totally warranted. He's doing a fantastic job while his team is behind. He's looking to secure some kills for them, trying to close the gap, bridge the distance between FPX and Suning in terms of gold, at least, as Suning is 2 kills ahead. However, they are about 3k gold down at this point, as FPX have been playing the map fantastically. The Gale Force coming in here to deny the Weaver's wall, as Bo walks too close to the bush, gets flashed on by On, not wanting to even risk the potential of Bo being able to flash away from his headbutt pulverize combo. Beautiful play there. And SOFM nearly Chris turning the corner into SOFM. SOFM realizing he's in a slightly perilous position, cancels his recall. Huanfeng now, has a bit of safety, allowing for On to rotate a little bit more. The Gale Force, of course, coming in very, very clutch, as LWX opting instead to go for the Kraken Slayer in order to bust down the front line of Suning Gaming. Suning, of course, having 3 melee members means that LWX's Kraken Slayer will be able to put in a lot of work. He also will really need the Gale Force to get away from them, because he does have the mobility of his ultimate and heal, as well as his own E. As Huanfeng is just clearing out camps as well as securing mid farm. He's actually getting a lot of resources funneled into him. He does do a lot of damage. He and Angel will be the main sources of damage on the side of Suning. And the longer the game goes, the better I think it is for the side of Suning to a certain extent. It's not very much of an advantage, as we'll get back to that in a second, as we see 3v3 coming out for the red buff of Suning. FPX is pressuring the top side with doing B, and LWX is also pressuring the mid lane. Nuguri is caught out quite far from his team, who just turns to abandon him. Just a quick hop out, however, means that Nuguri will not be caught out, as doing B channels his recall, wanting to join his team for any potential catch or pick. 2 minutes before either Dragon or Baron spawn means that... Oh, never mind, doing B going back to the top side. So, okay, I like the scaling of the Syndra over the Kled, that's needless to say, but I also kind of like the scaling of the Xayah over the Kai'Sa. That being said, Nuguri and Bo set up for very, very nice team fighting, as 2 members of Suning, looks like they wanted to jump in onto Chris. Chris, sensing that there was perhaps some vision around him, giving him away, steps out of the bush and begins channeling his recall in the Dragon Pit. A minute and 30 seconds to go. Now let's look at the items. Still, Angel not having completed his mythic item. He is at this point the only non-support player to not have completed his mythic item, and somehow doing B with his side lane pressure has actually managed to build a 30 CS lead, as Nuguri throwing a house into the bush. Nuguri pretty much just styling on the members of Suning Gaming here, walking in and dodging. Bo coming in, as well as doing B, who has his ultimate stunned out by Bin. Bin with his dominance. I thought Nuguri would perhaps chance using his ultimate there. An attempted pick onto Nuguri there by SOFM and Bin, as On is running straight down the middle lane, looking to make a pick of his own. that was Nuguri threw his house in there, saw two players, and then walked in to juke out the queue. How manly, how boss-like is that? As Nuguri uses his strike breaker to get slow onto SOFM, starts to apply the auto attacks onto him. Nuguri actually playing quite aggressively considering he did not know who was behind there. As the Rift Herald comes down, will not be able to get a charge off in the mid lane. 4 members strong with Nuguri shadowing in the side. Bin is teleporting down towards the bot side to get a bit of a push going on. Nuguri instantly rotating to answer that as On sees 3 people. Oh, an ultimate coming in there, but LWX is left behind as On jumps on him using his ultimate to get over the wall. Bin is most definitely caught out. LWX with the flag has the potential to be run over, honestly, by Bin, who, oh, never mind, uses his only mobility to get away from the enemy team. If they overchase this, Suning could perhaps look for the mid tower or the dragon. Suning opting for the mid tower and maybe even the dragon at the same time, as 2 members of FPX opt to chase down Bin, who is leading them on a merry cross country with his God Drinker, is draining up some HP from Nuguri. Bo, oh, placing down the path, blocking out any potential escape for Bin, as a 3v4 situation is happening on the other side of the map. If Suning can force a fight here, it would be fantastic. However, Doinbi is pretty tanky, as is Crisp. Not really many priority targets to go for when the enemy mid laner is a bruiser, as Nuguri coming in from the side. FPX and Doinbi and Crisp are jumping onto Angel, whose flash is forced by a Solar Flare. SOFM and Bin on the other side trying to jump onto Nuguri and LWX. Nuguri taken quite low, however he does have teleport. He also does have fleet footwork, channeling his recall right now, as LWX was in a slightly precarious position, blast planting over the wall to join his team, as On is on his tail, on his heels, wanting to look for something, but realizing that Nuguri has managed to channel his recall means that he will be here very soon should he choose to. Instead, they opt to go for mid tower, and Nuguri channeling his recall as a pincer movement coming out the wall, coming in. Oh no! It happened! LWX caught out by On and SOFM yet again, and just as quickly, this fight has turned into a 4v5 situation yet again, as Doinbi jumps into the midst of them, uses his God Drinker, but it's not enough to drain tank them all, as SOFM jumping in onto Crisp and Bo. Bin with the flank is here. Bin is jumped on by Crisp, but it isn't enough, as Bin's beautiful flank leads to the death of both Bo and Crisp. Nuguri, the only member of FPX still alive. FPX, the slight flaw with their team composition is that once LWX goes down, they really do not have that much damage, and once Bo is zoned from the fight, as he was there by SOFM, he also cannot really contribute to the fight. SOFM, beautiful understanding of the game, recognizing the fact that Doinbi going in means that he must do what he can to keep Bo out of that fight, jumping into a 1v2 situation with him and Chris, and allowing his team to just focus down, the remainder of his team to just focus down Doinbi as he jumped in there. Doinbi doing what he can, unfortunately being brought down. And yeah, On... Ooh! You never know what's going to happen, as On tries to delay Nuguri's taking of the mid tower. Unfortunately, does not manage to do that. Valiant attempt. Nuguri just opting to take what he can from the base of from the side of Suning, as we see here a beautiful wall coming out. Unfortunately, On in the perfect position, actually beautifully catching out LWX, not just catching out, and we see a 4v4 situation. FPX feeling kind of pressured to go in, knowing that Bin is arriving. Doinbi jumps in. Unfortunately, see Bo is on the side there, and so SOFM realizing that he must be kept out of the fight, jumps in onto a 1v2 situation. Bin turns the corner, and just like that, Bo and Crisp are headed back to the base. And in the bottom left hand side, do we see is that a replay? Or no, actually, fighting for vision in the bottom side are the members of FPX and Suning. FPX, their lack of damage on their team is okay, never mind. I mean, the relative lack of damage given certain circumstances is a little bit alarming, as SOFM is rotating down to try and pick out Bo. Bo realizing that he's in a slight bit of trouble, opting to stick to the wall to get his movement speed and skedaddle out of there. SOFM is quite deep in enemy territory, but thankfully for him, the bottom lane of FPX have reset and he is relatively safe at this current point in time. So yeah, honestly, if they just get LWX out of the fight and they get Bo out of the fight, FPX have a free and easy win. They have the sustain from the double God Drinker of the top and jungle duo, and those two do a fair amount of damage as well. That being said, Bo also does a fair amount of damage, and in that fight he did not manage to contribute at all. So a Weaver's Wall coming out, trying to split up the team. 3 members caught up there and 2 members caught below, as Doinbi jumping in with his ultimate is again in a 1v3 situation. 1v4 situation is taken incredibly low. Stars is popped as the stun comes in. Bin trying to jump in, and also flank coming out there from On, who's zoning 4 members of the team. Nuguri also doing the same on the other side, as Doinbi is brought down by On. Beautiful positioning as well. Gets taken down by the remainder of FPX. And a 1-for-1 in the bottom side jungle of FPX's side of the map. We see FPX not afraid to look to start up the fights, not afraid to make the picks, not afraid to be proactive. That is just the nature of this team. And in a minute and 40 seconds, we will soon see another opportunity for FPX to just jump in onto Suning playing the fights as they should, just kiting back and protecting their carries, splitting the fight up if they need to into two separate fights, to the front line and the back line. In the meantime, FPX, kind of based on the team they have drafted, are forced to jump in as much as possible. Doing B is pretty pointless if he doesn't jump in, as is Nuguri when he is in his enlarged rage mode. That being said, Baron power play of 1.9k gold is fairly decent, not too much but not too bad, as Suning have managed to crawl back into this game from a 2 kill advantage grown to a 5 kill advantage, and they are in fact ahead in gold barely by about 500 to 400 gold. As the next dragon fight, I think, will be pretty decisive. So far, this has been an incredibly close game. Suning getting the better of FPX in the last 2 to 3 fights with better positioning, and LWX slightly overstepping his bounds on several occasions, and On, of course, doing a fantastic job. Admittedly, On died last fight, but he managed to get a kill for his team and also managed to ensure that no one could help Naguri, who was deep in Suning's team composition. As Bin is caught out here, turns the corner, looking to escape. However, Naguri is around there as well. Elderbeck's flying in with his ultimate, and Doing B using his ultimate as well. Whoa, a lot committed to bring down the Crocodile there. But all things considered, with Dragon spawning in the next 9 seconds, I think this is an instant no contest on the side of Suning Gaming. Suning instead opting to get some inside pressure on the map, looking to siege down the tower. Ward comes on over 3 people starting up the dragon. Nuguri is slightly deep in enemy territory, I might say. However, Suning not wanting to risk a potential turn. This could also be a turning point for the game. And the explosive dragon fight that I tried to hype up and that I thought I was promised turns out to not be. And just like that, Suning back off. FPX get a free dragon. Angel rotating down to catch the wave. Spots out Bow. Nothing really happening here. Bin getting caught out yet again, this time not being able to buy very much time at all. And Bo is actually becoming a huge problem for the side of Suning Gaming. I mean, SOFM, if he doesn't build slightly more resistance, like to see a Force of Nature, maybe even Spirit Visage coming out, he might kill himself off of a Sonic Wave if it lands onto Bo. If Bo just lands, puts out the field in front of him, and maybe even starts throwing a threaded volley, he could potentially kill SOFM before he even arrives. But that's with a 60 CS lead, it's possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. As we see here, looking at the items, Angel haven't checked in on him for a little while, finishing up his Zonias, also having finished his ooh, wow, interesting. Having finished up his Ludens as well. Interesting because On opting to go for the Dead Man's Plate, wanting to have as much mobility out on the map as possible, not actually opting to finish up his Mythic instead. Curious to see what he would go for. Would he potentially consider the Shurelias in order to give his team some more movement speed to kite away? Would he consider the Locket? Locket would prove exceptionally useful against the Runans of LWX, as well as the AP splash damage of Bow, as we patiently await the next fight, which will most likely be around this Baron, which is spawning in 15 seconds. Bin is in the bottom side answering the push of Nuguri, as LWX using his Prey Seeker to try and spot out whatever he can. FPX is more split up now, so there is potential that they could be caught. However, FPX really have the trigger pulling team in this game, and that's the position they like to be in. FPX always wanting to be the proactive team. They'd rather have it no other way. Doing B, one of the player that basically FPX was built around, loves to be able to pull the trigger and be proactive. So this is not at all a uncomfortable position for either team. Suning Gaming, of course, able to play just with the understanding that several members of their team have able to play any which way that is necessary in order to secure themselves a win, is also perfectly comfortable in this position. Doing B in the pit, however, no member of Suning is in the area. I was worried that they collapse on him, he won't have the mobility. He does have a dash, I guess, to go over the back of the Baron wall. Nuguri backing out quite far, not sure where the members of Suning are. After spotting them in the top side, will most likely look to walk back up. As the game goes on, Bin actually doing a fantastic job, by the way, keeping up to a good extent with Nuguri. As the game goes on, who has more I suppose Nuguri's split push pressure just, I think Ngar pretty much just counters Renekton throughout the entire game. Like in a 1v1 isolated vacuum. Because you just basically can't catch up to him. And thankfully, things aren't so bad now that you can't go, because you can't go Frozen Mallet on Ngar. That would be a pretty killer. But, you know, Ngar is getting tankier, is still doing the damage that he needs to. Only really bit of healing cut on the side of FPX, by the way, is coming in from Bo, which means that if Bo is taken down by a sudden catch or a pick on the side from the side of Suning, that the double God Drinkers on their top end jungle would be exceptionally deadly to the side of FPX, being able to tank for so much longer. So far though, Bo's positioning has been pretty good. So it's not really too much to worry about. You never really know, however, where Suning could pop up in your jungle. That being said, I must say FPX is doing a much better job being proactive and looking for picks. That being said, again, on top of that, there hasn't really been much going on as Odd is, oh my god, full committing onto Bo. I do believe I just caster cursed him, which is pretty insane. Actually, a nice flash coming out from Bo, getting away from everything. Huanfeng Gale forcing forward and flashing forward, using his ultimate for a little bit of safety as SOFM jumps onto LWS. LWS using his stopwatch in order to outplay the outplay button, I suppose, as here comes Doing B, charge into SOFM and instantly tries to run away. Angel caught far out, bring the rest of the team to Angel is Doing B as Bin is tanking up so much of the damage. See, this is exactly what I was talking about. When the God Drinker comes in and if you do not have healing cut, if your only source of healing cut is from Bo, then you might be in a slightly dangerous position as Nuguri stepping forward. The two main damage threats from FPX, however, are dead. So Nuguri and Chris going into a 2v4 situation is not something that I would like to see here. They are playing incredibly aggressively. I suppose Doinby coming in is a cause for some form of attention. However, Doinby really doesn't do that much damage right now. As you see here, SOFM just zoning for his team, just playing the man in front with the God Drinker, able to kite out. Nuguri just kiting out Bin. Can he do it? Oh, Guardian Angel pop. That's really big there for the side of FPX. It means that Bin will not have it in the next fight as the Dragon goes over to SN. Another Gale Force forward. Doing B is actually being chased out. Doing B is taken out incredibly low. So a flag coming out onto SOFM, who's pushed back into the pebbles by Bo. Chris jumping in as well. Nuguri jumping in as well. Oh, 3-man pulverize coming in from On. On is doing exceptional this game. On is just making plays after play after play. Pick after pick after pick as that incredibly elongated fight gets brought to a head. Bin at full HP. Bo looking to ulti the wave, is he? Oh no, looking to pick out on who again. Oh, on thinking that he had no way but in, actually is brought out by LWX, who uses his ultimate to get into position. However, they are cut off from their base, surrounded by 3 members now of Suning. This is a potential throw for either team as Bin jumps in, is nearly taken out immediately. The God Drinker helping him tank it out as Huanfeng jumps in with the Gale Force yet again, is brought down by LWX is brought down by both the damage dealers of Suning Gaming, and he really couldn't do very much there. Been able to tank up for a significant period of time, and that Gale Force really coming in clutch there from Huanfeng, allowing him to get into position to do the damage necessary, allowing him to jump away from potentially dangerous positions. Honestly, this Gale Force has been used more aggressively than defensively so far, and while some people might consider going for Kraken Slayer, considering there's a 3-man tank squad going to be in front of you, I think this Gale Force is so much better of a build. As Nuguri stepping forward yet again. Nuguri has been incredibly aggressive. However, he hasn't really been punished for it as he flashes in, nearly gets the Ngar onto the 2 carries, On in the position as well as Doing B is in the backline. On jumps in to try and CC Doing B away. Angel popping his Zhonya's Chris right on top of him as the wallop comes down, as does the stun. Doing B still alive. Doing B hopping back onto Scarl is actually such a nuisance in the backline. He also has the God Drinker. He also is able to tank out for days. Doing B actually doing so much work. Still alive. God Drinker coming in yet again, keeping him alive. I cannot believe how long this is going on for as Bin enters the fight now. I think this will be the turning point of the game. However, Bo is flying in on the wall as well, On left to dry by the rest of his team. However, that is the unfortunate fate of most supports, as he is soon to be chased down surely. Doing the so much disrupt on Huanfeng from the start of that fight until the end. Huanfeng really not able to take him down. Perhaps I spoke too soon about the virtues of Gale Force and have failed to mention the lack of ability to 1v1 a bruiser, actually, not even a tank. Doing the with only the plated greaves as well as a Sterak's actually be able to tank out Huanfeng for so long. Doing B jumping in here onto SOFM and on trying to CC up Doing B as well as possible, trying to zone him away from the fight as Angel Zonia's in an unfortunate situation. Nuguri and Chris taking him down. As you see there, look at the backline. Doing B with Scarl and with his God Drinker just able to consistently stay alive amidst 3 people. It's incredible. And SOFM basically doing no damage even with the execute damage from Sonic Wave, basically not even close to tickling him, as On provides an out for SOFM, however, is put in a position where he has no out for himself, as the 4th dragon or 7th dragon of the game is coming up now and will most likely, I mean, at this point it could go either way. It's a beautiful stun coming out there from Angel, clipping both Nuguri and Crisp. Crisp has been very, very much just following Nuguri, and Nuguri has been playing exceptionally well, not afraid at all despite the fact that his team was not there, having full confidence and faith in his team to follow up with him. I cannot believe actually how well that last fight turned out for the side of FPX. But again, the game is pretty much up in the air at this point. Both teams are, the gold lead at this point is again shifted over to FPX, but both teams are very much able to win fights as we've seen. Doing B, I don't know how he stay alive for so long. The God Drink is just exceptional, I suppose, and as I guess also that the Spirit Visage really helped out with that as well. Whichever team makes a pick is most likely going to win the next upcoming contest. That being said, Suning do have priority and are able to get vision in the bottom side of FPX's jungle. FPX opting to kite back instead as the big minion wave is crashed in the top side. A lot of lost resources going in there from Suning. This shows that Suning is fully committed to securing this dragon. They do not want FPX to have yet another advantage. The Ocean Soul would be so big to have, as Nuguri is coming down from the side. Doing B also looking for a flank of his own with his ultimate. And let's just see how the fight goes. If Huanfeng is untouched and Angel is untouched in the back, and as Doing B jumping in now, jumps onto Bin, unfortunately, as Chris is in the middle of the fight. Beautiful ultimate coming in, getting 3 people. Angel is jumped on there as On tries to flash onto LWX. Beautiful Ngar onto 2 people as SOFM is taken incredibly low. Huanfeng is in the middle of the fight and just utter chaos ensues. Unfortunately, in this type of situation, FPX reigns supreme, and not even looking to finish out the Dragon Soul, instead looking to bring a game to a close. I do admit it's a fairly close game, as LWX jumping in onto Angel in the back of the Dragon Pit over there, and On trying to flash on after him to try and peel him away from Angel. Unfortunately, it was not enough, and Angel was brought down in that fight. Guardian Angel proc from Huanfeng was the only reason that I couldn't find him in that last fight. And unfortunately, a valiant attempt there by Suning, actually bringing the game back, clawing back into a very defensible position. Unfortunately, the last 2 fights proved too much of a catastrophe and calamity for Suning to recover from, as FPX take a pretty well fought out 2-0 win over Suning Gaming in Week 3. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this. We really appreciate that your interest remains, I suppose. I need to work on my outro. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya!